Gotta find this place, gotta get away. I see myself spending all my days, spending all my time lying in the shade with you. Away, come away for a year and a day. For your worries, they will fade when you sleep under the shade of the marvelous cannabis tree. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is time for another episode of the Mind of James podcast. Thank you for joining me. I got this lovely shirt on that I got from a guy named Scott Grassner from Austin, Texas. I can say without a doubt 100% that when I got back from Colorado, this guy became my life coach, and we keep in contact. He runs a podcast called Just Be with Scotty G, and this is his merch, ladies and gentlemen. This shirt is the most comfortable shirt I've ever worn, and it even has a fancy little hoodie, so I can put this little hoodie on, be nice and tight with it, nice and cool. But this shirt, I will do some Instagram photos of it soon, probably within the next day or two, because I gotta say, man, this shirt, probably the best shirt I've ever worn. I love it. And that song was Cannabis Tree from Rome and Duddy. And there's a specific reason as to why I played that song. When I lived in Denver, Colorado, as we all know, in Denver, marijuana is legal recreational. And I partook in it pretty good. I'm not going to lie to you. And I started a podcast called Stoned Out. That's right, you heard me, Stoned Out. It was a fun podcast to do. And that was my first podcast that I've ever done in my life. I had no idea what to do. I taught myself how to edit. I taught myself how to produce it. There's an LLC out there, On the Level Productions. It's my company that I formed to put behind Stoned Out. And much like this podcast, On the Level Productions is behind this podcast as well. So it was a journey that I wanted to take, and I felt like listened, heard the big man in the sky going, put out a podcast, call it Stoned Out. It's like, okay. And before we get into the fabulous story, though, this morning at 8:37 a.m. Friday morning on October 18th, I am sipping on one of these fantastic Yuengling Oktoberfests. This is really good beer, guys. This is really good beer. Now remember, let's not get in a tizzy about everything. I do work third shift, so this is my Friday afternoon. And once again, we are smoking on a Raz. Another one. This one is called Blueberry Watermelon. I think we were smoking on that last weekend. Pretty sure, but it's still good. So we're going to keep chiefing on it. That's so good. God, that beer is so good. Anyway, back to le podcast. So I started a podcast, man, out in Denver, Colorado, called it Stoned Out. I was partaking in the marijuanas, and God, it was such a good name. It was such a good name, and I enjoyed doing it to the point of I love the editing part of it. I love the producing of it, and it needed a front man, so it was me. Uh, it taught me a lot on podcasting, video editing, producing. I'm still not the best at it. Uh, Probably will never be the best at it. So I'm just kind of taking my skills and doing this podcast. And I gotta say, I still love podcasting. So I can put myself not only as an employee of the place I work, but as a podcaster. As a podcaster, and that feels pretty good. And Stoned Out was a great start. Stoned Out was one of those things where I started out by just talking for 30 minutes about what's going on in my life, and then for 30 minutes I would get into the news, whatever the news was. Either it was CNN or whether it was TMZ or something like that, and just make fun of it. Make fun of it. I still have all these episodes on my cloud. Um, Maybe I'll trickle a few episodes in there, just to give you a hint. But I was, since I was heavily on the marijuanas, there was a lot of episodes that I was just gone, purely gone. I think it was like the first four. I was I was so ridiculously high that I was just holding on to the grass from falling off the earth. That's how high I was getting. And it's not really good for doing a podcast because that's what, yeah, I would mumble halfway through the podcast because I was so stoned. And it was just like, ugh, the girl I was dating at the time was like, you need to lay off. If you're going to do this podcast, you need to tone it down. So I did. And I gotta say, it was fun. Uh, and then after a while, I just didn't like how it was going. I felt like it was more depressing than anything. Like, I'm out in Denver, Colorado. I'm having fun. I'm smoking the marijuanas. I'm supposed to be having fun with this. Let's take it a new direction. So I started interviewing people, whoever wanted to come on the podcast. And this might be fun to know, but Scott, just be with Scotty G, we met on Instagram. We started talking, and he just reached out and said, he said, hey, you want to trade episode for episode? And we did, and it was nothing but fun, man. And I still talk to that guy. We still talk. I'm actually going to Austin in January to just hang out, have a good time. Hopefully be on his podcast, Scotty B. Or, I'm sorry, Just Be with Scotty G. And that's the Yuengling talking a little. I messed up just a little bit. But speaking of beer. And the thing is, man, Stoned Out was so much fun. But like I said, after a while, it became a more of, I felt like it was just a hassle because I wasn't enjoying where it was going. And listen, folks, you start a podcast, you start a just sitting down recording yourself talking, you're gonna go through things that you never thought you were going to go through. Like, where's my voice? What is my voice? How do I want to talk to people? How do I want to portray myself and all this stuff? And I wasn't liking any of it. I wasn't liking how I was portraying myself. I wasn't liking how I was being on camera, how what stoned out meant, so I had to change it up. And I changed it up to interviewing people. And I still have those interviews. I have all of them. They're absolutely amazing. Every one of them. And I remember every one of them, and someday I hope to have them on this podcast. And again, because they're people that want to get their story out and want to see and want to help the world. You know what I mean? They just want to help the world. So, just so you don't hear the beer crack, I already had a fresh one going. Yuengling, support this podcast. So that podcast went on for a couple months. Not a couple, like, God, it was about 8 months I did the podcast. And it's going to come down to discipline. It's going to come down to a lot of discipline when you want to do something like that. And after a while, I was like, man, I got to record this one. I got to edit this one. I got to go through all this one. And with this podcast, with Mind of James, it doesn't feel like that. It does not feel like that at all. And that's what I love about this podcast. It doesn't feel like that at all. I get to come on here, talk to you guys for a little bit about what's going on in my life. What's going on in the mind of James. That's it. So we got to the end of Stoned Out. We get to the end of it, and I shut it all. I had to move back to Ohio. And I shut it down. I shut Stoned Out down, all the Instagram, the TikTok, the Twitter. Had to shut it all down. And I changed it to a podcast called Moving Forward, which I did not have my heart in it. I did not have my heart in it. I did a couple episodes of that. I think I still have the recordings of it. I don't know. Let's move on from it. And I gotta say, I had to really take a couple months to sit there and go, what do I want to do? And I was living with my parents at the time. Graciously, they let me move back in for a little bit, and let me get myself back on my feet. And God love them for it. God love them for it. So the end of Stoned Out was kind of an end of a time where I thought that I was tired of the 9 to 5. I was sick and tired of being just fucking. Damn it! I got it. Okay, I got a few. We got a few things to cut out. Try not to cuss as much on this podcast, but sometimes it comes out. Hey, you know what? I ain't perfect. I don't claim to be perfect, and I'm never gonna claim to be perfect. And if you hear me claiming perfect, that person is a liar. That's what it is. That person is a liar. He's trying to be perfect. No, he ain't. You just don't know me. So, move on with your life. You heard that little spring because I saw it out of its groove and it kind of annoyed me. So, this is the parts. This is the fun parts of learning how to do this. So the reason why I bring Stoned Up out is because it's been hitting me for a while that I am still sick and tired of this 9 to 5 corporate bullcrap. I've said this once, I will say it again, and you'll probably hear me say it multiple times, but I think the downfall of this country is when employers stopped caring about their employees. I'm not saying it's all employers. I'm not saying it's the employer I work for now. It's just in general. Because we all know that you have some jobs where they just do not care. Their bottom line is their dollar, how much money they can make off you, and the dollar sign is not worth a human life. In any case. The dollar sign is not worth a human life. Never will be. So that's where I'm kind of at in my mind right now, man. Like, I'm kind of sitting here going, man, it's 9 to 5. It's just, you know, the government is taxing you 3 times as much and taxing everything you buy 1 times. So, I mean, your income tax, they take 47% of my money that I earned just in taxes. Like, in the grand scheme of things, it's a small building with these people that just don't care about us. They do not care. And I don't understand why presidential elections are so huge now these days, because they don't care. They don't care. Not one president that I've ever voted for has came to my apartment or the place that I live and shook my hand saying, James Paul Allville, thank you for voting for me. Not one of them. And I realize there's millions of people in the United States. I realize that. They're not going to shake millions of people's hands in the United States. But they don't care. They do not care. Simple as that. Simple as that. They don't care. So if you ever see Stoned Out, hit the Spotify playlist or Apple Podcast or YouTube or something like that, you will definitely know that I've had enough. I've had enough. I've had so much enough as the point that I am willing to risk my career at the place of employment that I'm currently at now to go, I'm going to take a chance with Stoned Out. I'm going to get this thing, I'm going to kick this thing back up. We're going to do it. And here's the things that's going to have to happen in order for me to do that. I am going to have to smoke a copious amounts of marijuana to do it again. Because you can't have a podcast called Stoned Out and not smoke marijuana. And to be truthfully honest with you, marijuana has helped me better than any doctor prescribed me. Zoloft, Wellbutrin, blah, 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 blah. It's helped me better. That's all I'm saying. It's just I have a problem with where's the line. That's my thing. I'm not addicted to marijuana itself. I'm just addicted to how it makes me feel. Oh my God. Like, this brain runs 100 miles an hour. You know what I mean? So if it gets me to slow down to 40 miles an hour, I can finally go, man, this is what everything looks like? This is what colors look like. This is how fresh cut grass smells like. That is nice. So step one, copious amounts of weed. Marijuana, whatever you want to call it. The THCs, the marijuanas, the devil's lettuce, whatever you want to call it. That's step one. Step two is starting to record Stoned Out again. What will be the result? So while I was thinking about this episode, I had to write down a bunch of questions for myself, and I wrote a question that said, "What will be the result?" Number one, one of the results will be that I am done with society and believing in society. Go to work, build your 401k, blah 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 blah. All that happy bull crap. What will be the consequences, I asked myself. Well, I put my career in jeopardy at my place of employment. I put my career in jeopardy because if I'm gonna do it, marijuana is legal, recreationally legal in Ohio. So I can go down to a marijuana store and buy marijuana and smoke it legally. But places of employment say nay nay. If you didn't know what nay nay was, it was a very good ode to John Panette. Check that comedian out. He's fabulous. Fantastic. I put in jeopardy that career. Or let me say it again in non-Yoda. I put that career in jeopardy as to where they can see this and go, you're on marijuana. We're not going to employ you anymore. And you're sitting there watching this going, James, well, there's plenty of other jobs out there. True. 100% true. 100% true. There are plenty of jobs out there. There are plenty of other careers. I love it when companies go, oh, well, why don't you go to our career section? And it's a fast food joint. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some fast food joints that have excellent career paths. McDonald's, White Castle. I don't know about Burger King or Wendy's, but if you're willing to climb that ladder, they're there for you. Another question I asked myself is just how far are you willing to go to get where you want to be? That is a damn good question, self. And I gotta say, I don't know. I haven't hit that point yet. I haven't hit that point to where I want to jeopardize everything. I enjoy this podcast. I stream on Twitch, twitch.com/on a level 162. It is ONTHELVL 162. I haven't hit that point in my life yet to say how far am I willing to go. Taking a chance on yourself and betting on yourself is the biggest bet you will ever have in life. With anything. It doesn't matter if you're getting married. It doesn't matter if you're buying a house. Betting on you and thinking and knowing that this thing is just going to pan out somehow is the biggest bet you will ever have in your life. Mark those words. What am I going to have to give up? Is another question I asked myself, what am I going to give up? I'm going to give up. I'm going to have to give up the future life of climbing the corporate ladder, of buttoning my shirt and making everything is just 100% in line. That's what I'm going to have to give up. I went back to school for business management, focused in HR. And, 90. Alright, I'll up the stakes. 99.99% of HR is there for your company. They're not there for you. They're not. Let's. Small business owners are the ones that have an HR that are there for you. Corporate jobs, I'd say Fortune 500s, they're not there for you. They're there for the company. They're there to protect and serve the company to the company's best ordeal, whatever it is. But they're not there for you. So that's been on the mind. And it's just a thing where if you see stoned out, that's my knee. I'm trying to stretch out of here a little bit. That's a good looking knee, ladies. So the corporate-y thing, I still got hopes and plans that one day it'll turn around and be like, we need to focus. Like Richard Branson said, if you take care of your employees will take care of your customers. And 95% of businesses, big businesses, that camera's moving a lot. We got to get the knee down. Big businesses are going, we just care about our profit, are not focusing on the employees. Buy them a t-shirt. Don't just be like, well, we'll take the payment, we'll take the payment out of your check. Buy them a t-shirt, man. Give them a nice jacket. Give them a sweatshirt. People love free stuff. Let's be honest here. People love free stuff and dangling free stuff in front of them. It's not that hard. But when you feel like, and I gotta say, there are a few corporate companies out there that are gonna be like, we are all for the employees. Our employees, we take care of our employees take care of our customers. Look at Virgin Mobile. That dude went to space. Richard Branson. Or at least he had his own airline. I don't know if he went to actual space, but Hooters is the same thing. They took care of their customers. They took care of their employee. They probably had the most badass pension program out there. And look what happened. They probably got a corporate and said, we can't do this anymore, and they lost their airline. Hooters had an airline. Virgin Mobile has an airline. You know what I mean? Once you get that corporate weaving into it, it's game over, bro. Game over. I will die on that soapbox. Yeah, I'll die on that soapbox. But that's where my mind is at this week, and that's where things are going in my life. New mindset today. It hit me like a ton of bricks, and I'm sure in the next couple episodes I will explain to you why and what happened. But for now, would like to thank all of you who tune in to this program, to the Mind of James podcast, and say thank you from the bottom of my heart. You guys are diehards. You guys are there for the beginning and hopefully never the end. So I would like to thank all of you for another episode. Shouts out to my man Scott. Just Be with Scotty G. You can find him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I will link everything that he has in the show notes. And I stream on Twitch. That is twitch.com/onlevel162. ONTHELVL162. And once again, I would like to thank all of you for being a part of this amazing podcast and amazing therapy session. Because I treat these as therapy sessions. I think everybody should get an outlet. You know, journal, podcast, stream, whatever it is. If your outlet is going for a game of golf just to clear your mind, go for it. I support it. But thank you for tuning in. And I would like to wish you all a happy weekend. This is coming out Monday, so I'd like to wish everyone a good week, a good following weekend. Praise God. Fear God and keep His commandments. And do your thing, baby. Do that thing that's gonna. If you need to be your true if you need to be your true authentic self, don't let anybody in the world tell you any different, because they don't know you, and they're not the best. They're not a person that's qualified to tell you what's going on in your life. Thank you. I will see you all on the next one.